Hello, this is Benjamin Fulford speaking on February 19th, 2025. On February 21st, uh, that's 2 days from now, the Japanese West Tokyo police are coming to kill me. And so I'm asking for help from military white hats around President Donald Trump, Commander in Chief Donald Trump. Let me explain the situation. The the Japanese police are not police. They are enforcers for gangsters, and there is plenty of evidence for this. When I went to them with evidence that the Japanese government had murdered 500,000 of their own citizens in the past 2 years with vaccines, and this is from their own health and welfare ministry statistics. I provided proof. I gave the names of the people responsible. They refused to take action. Uh, So I've been trying to force a confrontation with them, and I put my I and the reason they're coming to my house. They're going to take all of the stuff out of my house and throw it onto the street because I haven't been paying rent. This is I gave trouble to my landlord, but the idea was to try to bring things to a head because nothing gets done unless there's a deadline, and uh, I don't trust the West Tokyo police for good reason. We'll start with uh, Australian agent Sasha Zarek was asked by the West Tokyo police to give false testimony that I was a drug dealer in order to give them an excuse to put me in jail. He refused. He later blew the whistle on the Fukushima attack, saying it was a terrorist attack using a stolen nuclear weapon. And as a result, he was forced into a mental hospital by the same West Tokyo police. And later, he was thrown in front of a train and killed. They've also repeatedly tried to entrap me and arrest me and kill me. The most recent example, a few months ago, a lady friend of mine was uh, fraudulently, falsely diagnosed with tuberculosis. And then they pressured her to testify that I'd spent a lot of time with her so that they could forcibly arrest me and put me in a hospital. Uh, and she refused. But they've been trying very hard, and the reason they're so desperate to kill me now is because they know that they're next. Japan is probably the worst nest of the deep state anywhere on Earth. Uh, I'll give you an example. First of all, the Japanese government is not Japanese. They are Koreans subcontracting for the Khazarian mafia. A recent example, according to Richard Koshimizu of the Japan Independence Party, everybody who went to Princess Mako Komuro's wedding. This is the sister of the heir to the Japanese throne. Everybody who went to her wedding has supposedly committed suicide since the wedding and all had large insurance payments on them. So this is the kind of terrorism against the symbol of this country that's being carried out by these criminals. And the mass murder is just another example. Another thing that's happened is that now that the biolabs have been shut down in the Ukraine, they're opening them here in Japan and in Taiwan. That's why I need the military white hats to move in and go to the Bank of Japan, the Prime Minister's office, and NHK, and restore democracy in this country. Now, the Bank of Japan, as I've shown with documents, is not Japanese. It's owned by Edmund the Rothschild Bank, Barclays Bank, which is also owned by the Rothschilds, and by the Vatican Bank, which is the Italian black nobility. And what they're doing is they are laundering about $1 trillion a year to foreign gangsters via the Tokyo stock market. When I say foreign gangsters, I mean BlackRock, State Street, Invesco, people owned by the usual criminals like Larry Fink and David Rockefeller Jr., Alex Soros, these kind of people. They're the ones who are trying to have me killed using the West Tokyo police as their proxy. And they've killed in the past, they've killed two of my female companions. One was, poisoned with a cancer-causing thing. I have, EB engineered virus, and I got this testimony from her because she was told by the people that they poisoned her, and then they They also told the webmaster I used for my Japanese videos that they were going to kill her next. So I have witnessed that they're threatening her. Another girlfriend who was killed along with our 5-month child was Tomomi Matsuzaki. Okay, so they kill people close to me in order to try to stop me from reporting the truth. This is the situation I am personally in. I've gone through a lot, of personal trouble, and people who work with me have also been killed. This includes Neil Keenan, who was, and Robert David Steele and Queen Elizabeth II. So we really do need to finish this, and I'm putting my life on the line to try to make this happen, but I need military help here in Tokyo. Now, the other thing is that there's a black budget in Japan that's again about $2 trillion a year that's not going through the parliament, and this is also going to the same Khazarian mafia. So they're taking about $3 trillion a year out of Japan. If we can take that money away from these gangsters, we can completely eliminate the U.S. government's debt and restore, this country to, its role, its intended role as a economic powerhouse for the world. But that's not what's happening now, right? And, the criminals here are trying everything they can to stay in power. They offered Trump a $1 trillion bribe to try to stay in power, but these are not nice people, and they are, systematically trying. They're still, just as in the United States, they fill daily products with poisons. They're trying to kill people with vaccines. They are Satanists. It's a core group, about 200. So I'm asking, please, military help. And I'm just going to check if there's anything else. Oh, yeah. Another thing I want to mention is that if the military helps me, I will be able to reward them financially. Believe it or not, I invented the Wii game machine. Let me explain the situation. When I was working for Forbes magazine, I went to the Toshiba Corporation's laboratories, and they showed me a chip they had that reacted to people's movements, and they didn't know what to do with it. They didn't know how to monetize it. Then I went to Nintendo, and I said, you know what, you guys, these games where you just play with your thumbs, that's kind of really hard. And wouldn't it be great if you had a game that reacted to your actions? And I said to them, there's a way you can do that. There's a chip at Toshiba that you can use. And the result was the Wii. And they used to acknowledge on their homepage that it was me who invented it. But when I asked them, for some money, they limited everything. But the point is, they made more than $100 billion from that machine. So if you help me overthrow the Japanese deep state, we can get you can be rewarded with some of that Nintendo money. And also, of course, once the Bank of Japan is returned to the Japanese people, I'm sure we can also get some sort of reward for that. So again, I'm asking for military protection for my personal self on the 21st, because they're coming to my house literally to kill me. And again, I know I provoked this because I was trying to make, bring things to a head, because nothing comes unless there's a deadline. And I know that I caused trouble to my landlord, but and I'm going to settle that. That's not the issue here. The issue is forcing a confrontation with the Japanese state, and that's happening. We've got a deadline now. I need help. We need to move in and eliminate the filth from this government. And this will be a way to completely eliminate the cabal. You got them in the United States now under the Trump, and they're being removed in Europe, as we can see. They're being removed in Ukraine, as the agreement with Russia and the United States in Saudi Arabia showed. So their last big two nests are Taiwan and Japan, especially Japan. So please help me. I need U.S. troops to come and occupy the Bank of Japan, the Prime Minister's office, and the national broadcaster. And then we can straighten this out and finish this revolution. Thanks for listening. All right, thanks for tuning in, and I hope to see you again next week.
Back to Doe just for a second. Earlier, the subcommittee headed by Chairman Marcia Taylor Greene, her and her staff discovered $2.7 trillion in improper payments to Medicare, Medicaid, overseas, to people who should not have gotten it. Some in this room might have missed that press conference. Can you elaborate on what the president is thinking at this point?
Well, again, that's another example. There's a very long list of the fraud, waste, and abuse that DOGE is identifying on a daily basis. Elon Musk also talked about yesterday about Social Security payments that are going out the door for people who are no longer with us. Unfortunately, I would say that is certainly fraud. There's also a lot of contracts they've identified that, just as a hypothetical example, are $1 million, but only 500,000 went out the door. So where's the rest of that cash? And so that's the thing. Those are the things that DOGE is working on every single day. And I would just remind everybody in this room, this is what President Trump campaigned on doing. He's delivering on a promise that 70.
And swear by my name like they taught my people of Israel to swear by Baal. If they do not obey, I will utterly pluck up and destroy that nation. They're all listed in this prophecy written 3,000 years ago by the prophet Asaph. Asaph was a worship leader for King David, but we're also told he was a seer or prophet. 2 Chronicles 29, verse 30. And he, at a time when Israel was, had one, as he's going to, the Arab peoples had, over the diaspora, had gone into the promised land of Israel. It was called Palestine in 135 AD. It was renamed Palestine. Never was really a country. It was always loosely defined borders, depending on whoever controlled the area. But it was called Palestine. And then in 1948, it became Israel. And so he was saying, I'm going to pluck out the evil neighbors from what is now going to be called Israel, put them back into their ancient homelands. And I'm going to pluck the Jews out who were living in some of those Arab countries there, lands, and bring them back into what is now going to be called Israel. So we saw that happen in 1948. Now, what he had to do, the Ottoman Empire had controlled the Middle East from 1517 to 1917. There could be no Arab states or Israel with them having control over that area. So in World War I, they got defeated, the Ottoman Empire, the Turks. And all of a sudden we find in the 20th century, the Arabs starting to get their states back. So for instance, Egypt was 1922, got its statehood. Saudi Arabia and Iraq were 1932. Iran, formerly Persia, was called Iran in 1935. Lebanon, 1943, Jordan and Syria, 1946, and then along comes Israel, 1948. So we see that they're all listed in this prophecy written 3,000 years ago by the prophet Asaph. The Arab states got their statehood. This is a sovereign act of God. He said he would put them back into their lands. I'll continue to read these verses and show you how that plays out.
Yeah, now,
All right, thanks for tuning in, and I hope to see you again next week.
Back to DOGE just for a second. Earlier, the subcommittee headed by Chairman Marjorie Taylor Greene, her and her staff discovered $2.7 trillion in improper payments to Medicare, Medicaid, overseas, to people who should not have gotten it. Some in this room might have missed that press conference. Can you elaborate on what the president is thinking at this point?
Well, again, that's another example. There's a very long list of the fraud, waste, and abuse that DOGE is identifying on a daily basis. Elon Musk also talked about yesterday about Social Security payments that are going out the door for people who are no longer with us. Unfortunately, I would say that is certainly fraud. There's also a lot of contracts they've identified that, just as a hypothetical example, are $1 million, but only 500,000 went out the door. So where's the rest of that cash? And so that's the thing. Those are the things that DOGE is working on every single day. And I would just remind everybody in this room, this is what President Trump campaigned on doing. He's delivering on a promise that 70